So the US has finally reached a deal, but global relief on avoiding the fiscal cliff misses the point, according to Reuters' Breakingviews. Robert Cole joins me in the studio. Happy New Year to you, Robert. So irrational exuberance these markets are showing, you think?
Well, a little bit, yeah. I mean, we've said before, you know, that we think that the markets and the world in general has got sort of too much of a downer on these fiscal cliff shenanigans. You know, even in the worst case scenario, it wouldn't be the end of the world, we've said. And we've also said that we think some sort of deal will be reached. But today, in the context of what has been done, I think the markets have got sort of gone too far the other way and got too optimistic about it, and they seem to think that this is an issue that has gone away. Actually, what Obama has done is got the absolute bare minimum. I think politically for Obama it's a good deal, and you know, he had to have something, so let's not try and be too negative about it. But the market seem to be now thinking, having thought that this was a major problem, was going to be the end of the world, now seem to think it's going to go away.
What are you most worried about? What are you most worried about now? You're worried about this, the fact that there's been nothing on the spending, which will apparently get in a couple of months, or at least something's going to try, and they're going to try and cobble something together in a couple of months, or is it the debt ceiling?
Well, both, but also the kind of reaction that it might have in the country about taxes as well. But you know, taxes are always going to be. This is where the meat of this deal is that, you know, the tax is what they've agreed, and they've agreed some tax hikes, but that's always going to be a smaller part of getting the budget sorted. The budget can only be sorted really if they get a grip of spending, and that's going to be surely, you know, 2/3 of the issue, and that's kind of still to be done.
This is what Obama had to say about the ceiling and the issues that we've got ahead.
We can't not pay bills that we've already incurred. If Congress refuses to give the United States government the ability to pay these bills on time, the consequences for the entire global economy would be catastrophic, far worse than the impact of a fiscal cliff.
I mean, he doesn't sound like a man who's going to back down.
He doesn't, and he's got a great deal of political clout behind him, having just come out of an unexpectedly strong victory. You know, what is it? He gets inaugurated in a couple of weeks. You know, I think he's bound to have like the majority of the country behind him. You know, taxing the rich is something, and taxing the bankers is something that's going to sort of give him credit. And of course, by the same token, the Republicans are in a pretty weak position if they're saying, you know, mega rich people shouldn't be paying a bit more at this time. So, you know, let's leave the. But so I don't. Well, no, he doesn't sound like a man who's going to back down. But I really wouldn't imagine that he has an easy job ahead of him. And of course, one tends to assume that he doesn't really want to cut spending, right?
Yeah.
And so unless he does, though, it seems to me that, you know, this budget problem will come back again and again and again. And maybe that's the point that we're trying to get to here, is that, you know, we may have solved this fiscal cliff, but maybe there's a whole load of other cliffs ahead of us.
Sounds a lot like Europe, this kicking the can, doesn't it?
Well, it does.
And I imagine that this will continue to be a discussion over the next few months, US versus Europe.
Yes, definitely. But I think, well, let's not get into it now. Let's do it another time. Yeah. But I think there are a big difference between the economic policies being left.
I'm talking about the way the markets perceive things, the way the markets worry, this euphoria, this irrational exuberance, as you call it, whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, the markets look sort of, you know, 3-4, I was going to say weeks, but perhaps I should say hours ahead. And, you know, it's a good solution in those kind of terms, but, you know, whether it actually delivers us long-term growth, which is what we really need and what would be great, really, for the markets, that's still a question.
OK, Robert, many thanks for that. Robert Cole. For more Agenda Setting Insight, watch our US Breakingviews show every day, 12:30 Eastern, 17:30 GMT. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.